Ha 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 ha. Yeah. It's live. Episode 52. And it goes something like this. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that wherever you are is doing good for you. It is me, it's Paul Carpenter, and this is On the Road, in the Waves, and on the Other Side. And today, my friends, I bring to you an amazing, absolute powerhouse of an artist in our time and age. Somebody who created his own version of art in a way that is just mind-blowing, and I can't wait to bring him on. I'm going to do that right now. So let me bring to you my guest today. His name is Jack Storms. Jack, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, man? So happy to be here. Looking forward to getting into some studio talk and some art talk, and figuring out what this is all about.
I'm super excited to have you, Jack. So for those out there, Jack, once again, me and Jack met, I don't know what, like 2-3 years ago, something like that. And it was at the Hard Rock in Hollywood, the one that looks like a guitar, and he was there showing art. I believe that was where it was at, right? It was at the Hard Rock, and yeah, I see this glass sculpture. I think that's where it was. It was in Miami, I know for a fact. But I see this glass sculpture and I see the art, and I'm like, wait, I know who that is. And I'm like, you're Jack Storms. He's like, wait, you know who I am? And I'm like, man, do I ever, bro? I saw this documentary on your stuff, and I'm totally enthralled by you. And yeah, man, I gotta let people know. And so we tried to work together, tried to put a NFT project together, but over the time we ended up just really becoming friends and talking, and I started this thing, and I was talking to him recently, and I said, hey, Jack, I really want you on my show. And he was like, let's do it. And so here you are. So Jack Storms, I like to start it off like this. Who are you? Where do you come from? And what are you about? Let us know. We're totally interested.
Yeah, my name is Jack Storms. I'm a cold glass sculptor. And I came out of the Northeast New Hampshire area, bounced around between there and Florida, where my parents were divorced, and so I went from mom to dad, New Hampshire to Florida. Graduated from college, went out to California, started my own studio. Been doing it for 20 years. I like to think I make some of the most beautiful artwork on the planet. I'm very proud of that. And there's also something I should say just right off the jump, because we actually talked about this earlier with my old bio that needs to be updated. I'm personally a very humble person, acutely aware of my humanity and all the faults that come with that. But the artwork I do is something else. Like that to me is something that is worth bragging about and really articulating fully about how beautiful it is. And so when I say that I think I create some of the most beautiful artwork on the planet, it's just a regular guy doing it, fully aware of who he is. But the product of what I do, the artwork that comes out in the end is just, I'll put it up against anybody's. It's just something I just think is some of those, like I said, some of those beautiful artwork standalone on the planet. And Babe Ruth said it. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. So, that's right. That. I just want to put that out there because a lot of people kind of get, they think I'm talking about me, and when I'm putting all this out there, I'm talking about the work. The work is spectacular.
Yeah, no, it really is, honestly, and I want to share that with people who are watching. I'm going to share your website here, because, and I was on this one page, but I'll change it now. You have, my friend, some of the most insane, awesome art. And when people find out how you actually make it, it is an absolute process. It's not easy what you do. This is not like I can make it overnight and it's really easy. This is something that takes you months and months. I mean, I think you've told me it took you a year to do one of yours once, or even longer.
Yeah, I've taken up to 18 months to work on some of my pieces. Those are usually the more grand projects that I put out there, like the Pleasanton Bell, which is a 2 foot tall, 2 foot wide, 500 pound, 5,000 plus, segmented piece of art that I think is the largest piece of turned optic crystal on the planet. And I think I've got that category nailed down because no one else turns cold glass. And if they do now, I've been doing it for 20 years. And, so I make wine bottles. I make these beautiful
baseball bat. You did a baseball bat, right?
Baseball bat for Derek Jeter for his 3,000 hit, which was tough for me being a Red Sox fan, but I still was able to,
you push through.
Still proud of the work.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking for a video now to show everybody the process, because your process is really, like I said, it's a very extreme process. You're sitting there for hours upon hours, days upon days, shaving down a piece of glass. And then, and I don't know, because I don't know the system. I don't know how you're doing it exactly, but so do you put like a piece of glass and another piece of glass, you put them together somehow? Are you gluing that together? Is that what you're doing? And
yeah, so a lot of this, a lot of my materials came from the research that pushed the space age. So before the space age came along, the space race and all of our endeavors into the lower atmosphere and outer atmosphere of the planet into outer space, before those big pushes came in an industrial manner, there was no real need to have optically pure glass and crystal created for a mass audience. Like, if you were going to do scientific, if you were going to run scientific experiments and you needed lenses, you need petri dishes, you need this, you need that, all the components that go into some of these scientific experiments that went on, you'd have an exclusive relationship with a small shop that would create this blend that you could unify throughout all your experiments, and people do their best to duplicate it. But when you're running experiments on a grand scale, and when you're getting that up to an industrial level, people need to go back and get the same type of optic crystal that has the same properties, and they can repeat it to within scientific metrics that so they had to create an industry. And so when they created this industry, a lot of things came along with it. The dichroic that I use that acts as a colored reflective mirror that has all kinds of different visual properties we can get into later. I love it. I keep this stuff with me everywhere. Everywhere I go, I got this stuff. So that's a thin film that goes on a piece of glass.
Is that a piece of glass with it already on it? Or
Yes.
you're not like making that. You're not like putting a layer or something on that. No, this is the glass that's made a certain way.
Right, because I could buy a machine and I could put it back here and I could dedicate all my time to putting out something that will be, absolutely perfect for my needs. I also haven't put out any artwork in that time. So there's already people that do this to a level that is perfect. I deal with those people, right? So that's what I get. If you got this from China, or if you got this from, a mom and pop place, you could put a piece of tape on here and peel it back really quick, and you'd have the coating come off.
Right.
That does not go into my work, right? That does not go into my work, because
so the annealing process of the glass,
that'd be horrible.
Sorry. The annealing process of the glass that you're using, are they heating the glass to make it like that, or is it a layer again? Is it like a plastic layer that goes on top of the glass?
No, it's a metallic oxide that goes on top, and it's administered in a vacuum chamber, and they put the metallic oxide components, the mixture down below, and the mixture dictates what colors, what properties you're going to get. And then when that vacuum chamber heats up, it just it propels those that material, those elements, that metallic oxide mixture, whatever it is, if it's a magenta green, it'll propel that, and that attaches to the surface through the heat that's in the vacuum chamber and through the vacuum process itself. It adheres it, it bonds it to the surface of that glass, right? So there's a lot of things to calculate, a lot of things to go wrong. So and plus, if you hook up the machine wrong, or you're not focused on what you're doing, you can get blowed up. So that's another reason.
Wow. Okay, so now, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll take these layers of glass that you just showed like that, and then you take other regular pieces of glass and you're putting these together, and then that's when you're sitting there and like grinding it down until it looks absolutely perfect and you have a edge or whatever. And now my next question is, are you also doing like cuts inside of like one piece of glass at an angle or something, like certain, like over and over again to create
absolutely.
like
but there's two things I want to quickly address, and then we'll jump right to that. So when you said I would add a regular piece of glass, there is no regular piece of glass. So everything that I have is scientifically, it's made for scientific industries. So it's like the purest optic crystal you can get. So it's not regular glass. And also this that I just held up. So I mean, to just say the properties here, here's two different pieces, and you can see that there's two different colors. Right. And then they create a secondary color, and then they'll create a, like, one's blue gold, one's magenta green. And that was also developed for the space age industry. And the epoxy that I use was developed for the space age industry as well, because they needed something to bond fiber optic cable under very stressful conditions. So I just wanted to address those 1, 2, 3. They all came out of, NASA endeavors, and the industries that have spun off because of them. That's where I get my material from. So going right back to
we have a comment that came in here. It says, have you heard of Vanguard Industries in San Diego? They have a machine that can do vacuum lamination compression. My stepdad actually worked on it, or whatever it was, landed on that rock, the Rosetta Stone, similar process technology. I think vacuum sealed compression lamination. I don't know. That's what he says. I guess he's just asking if you know of the company Vanguard.
I haven't heard of them. I'm going to dig into them, though, because it sounds like, they might be creating some things that I might be able to incorporate in my work, too. But that illustrates what I was trying to say before. All these space age industries produce things that are of very high quality that I can turn into art. Right.
Right.
So that story illustrates it perfectly.
That's great. So, okay. So I like to do this. I know you already kind of went through it a bit, but I like to get back to when you were a kid and you were, like just to go back through your life a little bit to find out how it is that you became the glass artist. So what was the impetus, if you will, that created, like, you were, like, I know I've read a bit of your bio, so you were into art when you were a kid, you were always making art, but what was the thing that kind of like shifted you towards the idea of glass and the idea of what you're doing today?
So my dad lathes wood. I've got some of his bowls right up there. I keep them in my office, and they're down here too. None of them within reach, but my dad loves doing this stuff. He finds it very meditative, and he used to work with all kinds of different types of woods, mostly native to New England, that would make these, awesome New England crafted bowls. But he also did railings, banisters. The whole house was full of things that my dad had put out of the shop. And so I always had that as a model to to really kind of see the enjoyment and fulfillment that he got out of it. But he never really saw it as something that he could turn into a career. And that kind of, and that's something that he, told me, when he gave me some advice, he's like, just get a good job and have a hobby like this on the side. And, look, I'm happy. And if I could make a living at this, I'd be doing it all day long. But look, just go get your paycheck and do something that, you're not so attached to for your income. And then, have this that you can throw your passion into. And I kind of, I took that and I said, it was almost like challenge accepted. I think that if you're passionate about something, even if it's an art, you can make a living out of it. So I went to school for a little bit later in life. I went back to college and finished up. I started at 26, went to Plymouth State College, and I really just looked at it as this is how much my education costs, and this is the information that I want to extract. I wasn't really attached to my grades or, ass kissing or, being involved in the social life. I was just there sitting in the front row. And, if I didn't show up for tests, I really didn't care what my grade was. If I had the information of what I needed, I felt I needed for my career, and that was it. I was good. So,
Great.
Graduated out of there.
The right way to go to school. The right way to go to school.
Yeah. Just give me what I want. Yeah. And that, on some of the professors, that was an acceptable arrangement. On others, they were kind of a little bit too concerned with, attendance and, just, political stuff. Some people just did not appreciate my approach to it. Some professors did. Shout out to Terry Downs. I don't think he's there anymore, but that was a professor at Plymouth State College that really helped me, believe that I could do this.
Nice. So he was your, I like to call it a hello. So I've told this story before, but I'll tell you. It comes from a rabbi, and he was telling a story of a man that he had met, that his job for 10 or 12 years was to investigate the people who were jumping off the San Francisco Bridge. And that was his job. Like every day, because I don't know if you know this, but the numbers off the San Francisco Bridge are absolutely just ridiculous. It's all like 200 some odd plus people a year. So you can only imagine, the 2,000 some odd times that he's walked into somebody's house, and there's always a note. He says there's always a note. He's like, that's no big deal. Always find the note. He goes, but the thing that was different about this note was that the guy said very simply, hi, my name is whatever it was, and I'm about to go jump off the bridge, but if only one person says hello to me, I'll turn around and come home. And obviously nobody said hello to him that day, right? So I like to say that the person in your life that becomes the opposite of what others have told you, right? Because your father, I think he wasn't trying to be negative when he was like, yeah, just get a regular job. And he was just trying to be pragmatic, and he was looking at life in a way where, oh man, it's so hard to be an artist. I've seen these people try to do it, kid. I don't want you to have to go through that, kid. Get a regular job, keep this on the side, and that's what most people do. And the story, we're on episode 52. You have no idea how many times in 52 episodes that people have absolutely said the exact same thing that you're saying, that, man, I really wanted to do it, but I didn't have this and I didn't have that, or the person didn't believe in me, or this. And then somewhere along the way, there's a person that says hello. And Terry Downs, this professor, seems to have been that guy for you.
Yeah, I absolutely. My dad, I talk to him pretty much every day still. He's back in New Hampshire. He's very proud that I've been able to achieve this for myself. And that means a lot to me, because it wasn't like a challenge like I took as an affront. You know what I mean? I didn't take it as an attack. I didn't take it as a statement of my ability or anything like that. I just took it as someone who, when people give you advice, they're giving you a narration of their experiences that they've packaged into something that they can give to you that they think is worth you listening to, right? So I always frame that, and I think I do that correctly, and it helps you kind of extract, good advice that's applicable to you and advice that's not applicable to you. So, and Terry, I kind of there he is.
Yep.
So Terry was, I basically call him, my first influencer on a professional scale.
Yeah, that's great. It's like I said, it's that person that patted you on the back and said, "Go ahead, get it." And you were like,
no. It wasn't a pat on the back. It was like, let's see if you can do it. I think you can do it, but let's see if you're going to do it.
But that's what I mean, right? He looked at you and he gave you the, I guess, the thumbs up, if you will. Like, let me see what you got. But there was nobody else that did that, is my point, right? Everybody else was like, maybe you shouldn't, or get a regular job. It'll be easier. And he was the one that was like, well, go get it. What you got? Let me see.
Yeah, let's see if you get the fire.
That was your impetus, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, like, look, Plymouth State College, I think the numbers are absolutely ridiculous. And like, I kind of like I love my experience with Terry, and that's, worth the money worth the price of admission right there. But overall, they have a very low rate of people that graduate from that college with a degree in art that go on to make that the focus of their career. So they go on to do something else, and the college is A-okay with them, right? I'm not. So I put a lot of focus into what I was going to do that next step. And so I just did my own research. I sat down with a bunch of, American crafts, all kinds of periodicals that were going out there like that. I just started doing all kinds of industry research to find out what shows were going on, what opportunities, what professional artists existed that needed help in their studio. Right. And I started compiling that, and I was growing alarmed that there was no one at the school that was doing something similar to this for placement or for opportunities for job fairs, or,
Which would make sense.
Some kind of platform to explore the possibilities of an artist, you know what I mean? And it's just nothing. Here's your diploma, hit the road. And I was like, all right, see ya. So, so I, through all that research, what I did is I found out that glass was really hot, and that there were a lot of really talented people doing, exploring all kinds of work in the hot medium. So you got the flame guys, you got the kiln guys, you got the glass blowing guys. I already said kiln guys, right? Yeah. So you've got everybody that's working this hot, and they can go quick, and they can go and make beautiful work, and they can do it, and they can get it out there. And that intrigued me, but then I found that there was another vein of this that was just not being explored there are 2-3 artists that were doing this type of work, and they all had their very tight aesthetic that they'd be known for. And so one of them was about 20 miles away from my college. So I went down there, and like a job. This is my skill set. I've been
I love you, Jack. I love you so much right now for that right there.
So I worked for him for 2 years, and at that point, I really wanted to do nothing else but be the guy that made him get to the next level. And so I threw myself into that. I really didn't have any designs to go off and do my own thing. I was working in the art industry. That's what I got my degree in. I knew how to do production schedules. I knew how to do maintenance schedules. I knew how to organize a studio. I knew how to, coordinate, different systems, within that to kind of streamline things. So I felt like I was very productive and very happy there for a long time. But as time went on, I started to develop my own aesthetic, and I tried introducing that into into that studio. And, this isn't a slam, but he's got his own aesthetic. He is, he's sharing something that is a reflection of his, and when I start bringing in stuff that's mine, then or that generated from me, it's not. I could see how he could dial it, like not be so enthusiastic, whether the design's good or not. So ultimately, I just started to take these designs and put them towards my own efforts and my own dreams. And I started a studio myself out here in California, and that was 22 years ago. And it's just been it's been a fist fight ever since.
We have another comment that just came in. It says, as an artist myself, we look at life in a different way. We see things in a way that others don't see it. I'm inspired by you for going for what you wanted to do and following through with it. That's so beautiful to me, that what you're doing, and keep going. So this is a good friend of mine, by the way, and all the tattoos I have on my body are done by that gentleman.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I never got any more tattoos after that either. And we've kept friends forever. And he is absolutely probably one of the better chefs that I've ever met in my entire life. Like, the guy is a fiend. He's worked at some of the most amazing 4-star and 5-star Michelin places, and just all over Miami and all over South Florida. And he's a badass. The guy's a badass.
He's not more well known than my personal chef. I mean, him. Everybody knows him. He's just all over the place, and I feel very grateful that he's my personal chef. That would be Chef Boyardee.
He's everywhere.
Chef Boyardee. That's the punchline. I feel like I should explain the joke now because that delivery was so horrible. But yeah.
You're good. You're good. Okay, so Jack, let's get into it. So, what was your so you open up the studio. Obviously, it's hard because you have to get all this equipment and all this stuff that you're going to do for your own version of things. What was the first thing that was like a real big, whoa, I got paid. Like, I got paid to do this thing. Now I've got to, deliver. When was that hit you in your life? Within obviously it was probably like 15, 20 years ago or something,
Yeah, no. I remember it pretty clearly. And, there have been a lot of struggles with the studio, and some of them still continue today, and that's just life. But it's never really been like a burden because it's what it's my dream. So, it's just how I approach problems in general. But the very first time that I ever realized that I really, really, really had something is two times. One is when my grandma, who was alive at the time, staked me enough money to buy my equipment. That was when I was like, wow, my family knows me pretty well, and they are not shy with the criticism. And I just took in an investment from the matriarch of the family, and so that had a lot to do with me really knowing that I was on the right track if I had my grandmother on my side with this endeavor. But professionally, when I went out there, I made 4 or 5 pieces, and I was my proximity where my studio was. I was close to Carmel, California, which is a little art haven. And so I went down there, and there's a gallery there at the junction of Ocean and Dolores, one of the 2 biggest drives in that little hamlet there. And so I walked in the door, I show them my stuff, I'm talking about all my stuff, and they're like, oh my God, this is just so beautiful. It's just, oh my gosh. But I'm just sorry, we don't represent anybody that does acrylic. And I was like,
it does acrylic?
This is optic crystal. Yeah. This is optic crystal. This is the most just, I handed it to her, and she kind of was like, oh, but they still weren't sold. So what they did is we continued the conversation, and we put it down in front of the window, and we're having a conversation about, the possibilities, and maybe they get,
right while it's in the window, somebody comes in and buys it.
No, it caused a car wreck outside.
Oh, what?
Now I'm celebrating that because it was only a fender bender, and both cars looked like they carried insurance. You know, it was Beamer on Mercedes, 5 mile an hour. But one guy came to a stop, and the guy behind was just looking because the sun was hitting it right, and it was just glowing in the window. And so he's busy looking at that, and he just does a 5 mile an hour boom into the car in front of him. And that happened in front of me. It happened in front of the gallery director, the gallery owner. Everybody saw it. And then the guy just looked at me. Well, it was him and his wife. The guy looked at me and says, "We'll take everything you can make." I was like, "Okay, time to get to work." But that was pretty cool. And I have to say, if it was a bad accident, I would not have been
that accident happened. Yeah, I was just gonna say that accident happened, and all of a sudden he took it as like this grand moment to like, yo, we need to get this guy started. Like it was almost like a weird.
Yeah, well, if you're putting up art that's so beautiful that people are distracted from driving, you might have something.
Oh, that's what happened? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly what happened. Yeah, the guy, because we could see, we were looking at the traffic as I'm looking at the artwork, right? So the traffic is in the background, and so sorry if I didn't lay this up correctly.
No.
So I saw the first car stop, and the second car, the guy was rubbernecking and looking at my artwork, and boom, you know. And everybody saw that happen in real time, and it was slow, so it wasn't like it's like a 5 mile an hour fender bender.
I mean, that is so trippy and cool, yeah. Jack. Like on some weird, like that was your grandma making an accident happen kind of thing. That she's like, yo, nobody's gonna get hurt, but he's gonna get a gig. You know?
I never looked at it that way, but I think she would have been pleased with that.
Yeah. No, 100. I think that's what that was. I know I sound weird saying stuff like that, but I mean that I believe in weird stuff like that, man. Like, like she was there to help you, and she gave you your beginning, and then you went out of your way, you did the work, you said you were going to do, and then the opportunity came. I believe because of the energy that you put out there, and obviously because of the energy that she was already connected with it.
I tie a lot of that back to her husband was Jack Storms, and the original, the OG Jack Storms, and he was my grandfather. I was named after him, and I was always kind of like I was taught to I'm repping his name, right? And he's a guy that came from nothing and ended up living the American dream. Had a career in the military. Had taught at the University of New Hampshire. As a professor, he was a man of achievement that came from very humble means, and what do you do with that when you're a lower middle class kid? I mean, you take the ball and you run. You
run. Yeah, you don't have any other choice. Yeah. He says, RJ came back in here and he says, even with life, sometimes it's that pivotal moment, I think, or something like that moment of being noticed, no matter how big or small it might be, that takes us to the next level. I see what he's saying. Yeah, and that goes to me saying that thing about hello, right? Yeah, so that was your second hello moment, right? Hello, think I'm going to even have a car accident in front of you, like, hello. And the guy's like, yo, I'll take whatever you can buy or whatever you can make. And that's your second hello moment, which is why I'm asking these questions, obviously, right? Because
questions.
My podcast,
what bro.
Okay, so awesome. So this happens. That obviously is the kicker. So then I guess obviously 20 years goes by. So I mean, you've been working at this craft like 20 years of your life, and so and here's a weird question. In that period of time that you've had the studio you've had, how many pieces have you made? Because I know it takes so long to make pieces.
Let's say we take the wearables out of the equation.
Yeah, for sure.
The big sculptures, I would say if I averaged 3 a year, I'm sorry, 3 a month, that would account for, vacation time, all that good stuff. Probably about 3 a month times 12 times 20. So what's that? Under 700, under 1,000, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
a lot of
that's what I'm saying. It's like super exclusive. And this might be a good segue to what we were talking about before as to why I'm not in a bunch of galleries. And again, I'm not throwing shade on galleries at all, but the reason why you don't see me in 14, 15 galleries is because galleries mostly represent artists that, first of all, the biggest art out there is wall art, right? So if you're doing wall art, you're a painter or you're a printer. The amount of the amount of investment that you have in that piece of art as an artist is very, very small, because you can make one painting and then you bring it to a machine called the Giclée or a remastering machine, and they give you, if you got 14 galleries, you get 14 prints. Everybody gets a print, right? And it might have taken you 2 weeks to make that. 2 weeks, it might have taken you a month to make that, but now with that month long worth of investment of your time in artistry, you're now in 14 galleries, right? So
right, where you can't do that because there's no way to reprint the
can't
work.
do that, and I can't really even play the game, because under those terms, the gallery gets half of the sale price, and because the investment from the artist is so low, someone taking half to make a sale is very doable, because you're still putting 45% of the sale price in your pocket, right? I can't play that. Like I'm at, like they're at 5%, I'm at like 35, 40% of that sale price is me working on it. It's all the overhead that I carry. It's all the time. It's all the materials. Like everything I have on every level is so much more expensive to do than a painter, right? And so I can't take those deals. I can't take those deals. I could previously, and I did previously, but what happens is I end up working insanely long, ungodly hours, and there's very little time to actually go out and develop new work, because you're so busy filling orders for artwork that you had designed and that I had designed and created, 20 years ago. And I still love it. I still love the medium. I still love working on it. And I appreciate everyone who's, these things are not expensive. It's not protection. It's not shelter. It's not food, right? It is, something that, so whoever has given me any kind of patronage, I always appreciate them. But what I want to do, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to start my own gallery. So what I want to do is I want to come up with
I was laughing at that. I was like, I'm sure he's thought about that already.
I should have let you read it. But what I want to do is I want to come up with a way where I can still bring on new patrons, service old patrons, and share my artwork with the world, and have enough to where I can reinvest in the studio, reinvest in that what you would call R&D, research and development time. But what that is that's time to create something as an artist. Just be an artist. Just create something new, right? And there's no time to do that if like my margins are so tight on everything. Right. It's a fight to keep the light bill on all the time. So, I did a podcast last week, and I'll repeat the same. If there's a gallery that can work with me out there and has a great social media game and has a broad outreach and can work with the margins that are built into the retail price, then hey, we're going, right? Mm-hmm. So that's and until then, I've just got a great social media team, and they're putting out stuff, and they're bringing in clients fast enough for me to service them and work with them, and then I get the chance to deal with them directly. Galleries don't let you deal with the client directly, right? So now I get to deal with the clients directly, and I get to try to expose them to this new idea that I'm doing that I'd really like to try. You'd be the first one to have it. I don't get to do that when there's a gallery person sitting in the middle. I don't get to do that.
Of course not. Right. Of course not. Yeah. No. Right? Yeah.
So now my clients, they're much fewer, but they're getting the best work, the most cutting edge work that I'm putting out of my studio, because they're letting me be an artist. And I said 4 or 5. I think I've got 3 people that I'm working on orders for right now that I'm dealing with personally. And and they just gave me the funds, and they said, knock my socks off, and I'm going to just do everything. I'm throwing the kitchen sink at some of these designs, because it's, again, I get that freedom to create the beauty that's in my sketchbook that I haven't touched for, I haven't touched for years. Like my new design that came out now, the Infinity Core, that was developed like 15, 16 years ago, but I haven't had any time to get to it, right? Because I've just been so busy servicing galleries. Sorry.
You don't have it. You don't, sorry. No, please. You don't have a piece of that, like the Infinity Core. We can't see that, can we?
You wanna?
I would love to see it. Yeah, of course.
You gotta do some time fill here, because I gotta run out to my car and get it. I was sitting down to do that when the show started.
It's an exclusive. Go, run. Oh man, I'm telling you, bro. This is such an amazing show. This is such an amazing show, where you're getting to, like, look at what we're getting. We're getting like the inside of this man's life. And, we did this on every episode, which is so cool, but we're getting to see a piece of art of this man right now that he has not shown basically anybody on the planet. And we're getting to see this. And like you said, he came up with this years ago. And so he's so excited, This is what I love. I talk about something called the art of the cool, like what it takes to be cool. And it's a 4-step process, right? The first step is being a nerd, and like a super nerd about something. And that could be like guitar playing, for instance. I like to use Slash for this example. And then the second part is that you create a silhouette of yourself. So something that can be recognizable with nothing more than just the silhouette. So if we were to put a top hat, long hair, and a guitar, you immediately know Slash. Then the third part of that is being able to do something without having to speak. And that's like anything, whether it's art or magic or creating a song, something that happens just naturally from the 10,000 hours of being a nerd, that when you come to that thing, seemingly it seems like very effortless on your end. And the last piece of the art of the cool is this idea of mixing it all together to create an essence, an oil that you can then water down and sell as a product. And that's what I consider to be the art of the cool. And so as you can see, Jack is completely nerdy about this idea of this glass and this using all this super advanced technology to create these layers. And I don't know if you guys were here a little while ago, but I'll share it again. I want you to see this man's art. This guy is like on another level of like whoop whoop, like straight up. Look at this man's art. Like, this is pieces that, look at the layers. And when you watch, there's a documentary out there, about his stuff, and he does some of the most just amazing work, and it's all grinded down. Each one of these is on a grinding wheel, and he has to grind them down to make these shapes. But that's not it. Like, it's also the layering of the glass that he was talking about. This or not the glass, but the crystal. This very expensive crystal that he's using. So it's also that. Look at this. Like, this has those little pieces inside. Inside, bro. How hard it must have been to make this happen. How hard it must have been to look at this. Are you seeing this? You know what it must have taken to do that? All right, I got Jack back. Let's bring Jack back. I'm showing off your art, and I'm amazed at the fact that, like I'm looking at these little pieces on the inside of this thing, right? And I'm thinking that there's layers upon layers of this crystal that you're putting together, but then like you had to make those little things on the inside, and then I'm just like, how, like, like, and then there's no edges. You don't see the edges.
No,
That's the part that kicks my ass, is that you don't see the edges. You know what I mean?
Pretty hard at that.
No doubt. Okay, so what is this that you're showing us? An exclusive. Nobody's seen this yet in the world.
The client has. I make the promise to show the client first, right? But no one has.
They don't count.
This is the infinity core that's in the piece. And the lighting is not, I've got track lighting in my office.
No, I'm getting it, dude. Like, is this like a triangular pattern kind of on the inside that you've created?
Yeah, so what we did is we talked about, or you asked me previously about how I cut the glass and how I cut it at different angles. So what I do is I've just got a process where I find the refractive index. And the refractive index kind of helps you calculate at what angle and how much sunlight has to come through an object to where it gives you that rainbow effect, where it bounces off. And it really is the rainbow effect. It's where light is broken down, white light is broken down into the colors of the rainbow, right? So I want to see more of that. So I dictate the angles of my cut to help that reflection help that effect be all it can be. So I came up with.
You're literally at like degrees that you have to have perfectional, like 33 point some odd degrees and it has to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
My God, sir. My God, sir.
So this is that infinity core that I spoke of before.
Yeah, I'm gonna take.
And if I could just give a shout out to the client, it is on IG. He is Opus Gems, and he is one of the guys that has helped me, break into the wearables. Without him, there'd be no wearable line, because he rode shotgun on my first projects, and just kind of helped to say, this is how you want to approach this is how you want to approach that. These are the machines you want to look at.
Page again?
Opus Gems.
Opus Gems.
His name's Bo. He's a great guy, and he was one of the patrons that I spoke of before that really kind of allowed me to create this type of wizardry. Like 300 years ago, they would have burned my ass at the stake.
Right? Because you're showing off some weird stuff that they don't understand. They don't get it. They don't know what's happening.
They wouldn't get it.
Right, 100. So here is this is Bo's page. So for those who are out there who want to know, check out Opus _ Gems.
And there's a couple projects that he's done with my work. Yeah, that one right up front. Yeah, all those things are pieces that we've worked on together, and he's helped me, come up with the theories of aesthetics that's going to show off the best work and or the best qualities of the work. And it's kind of like jewelry in reverse, because all of the facets, all of the cuts are mostly on the inside, whereas when you've got other pieces of jewelry, what you're doing is you're taking something that is, has got an established substrate. Maybe it's clear, but maybe it's got a substrate. And then you facet the outside to, kind of show off the clarity or show off the color or show off this or show off. All my facets are on the inside, right? So now we just have to kind of frame it in the right way. And, that's what Bo's been about.
Look at that. Look, is that your piece right there? No.
That's my piece off of his bench. He does this on the side.
Wow.
Like he's got his main hustle, and then he's got this.
So now on the back, I see that there's like a shaving into that. Did he do that?
All him, man. That's all him. And so I've worked with a couple other guys. There's Stephen Mancini, who's out there, Mancini that's out there, and I forget what his IG handle is, but he's contributed, and he's come on to help me develop. I do a watch piece where I take
Right.
I take those wearables and I put them on the inside, and he's helped me develop that case and everything like that. There's a lot of people that I like to make partnerships with, so I can get like the most beautiful representation of my work, including bringing that to a specialist in what they do. So there's Opus Gems. There's it's Steven Tyler. That's how he goes by on IG. It's Steven Tyler.
You know who I want you to do work with? I want you to do something with Tracks NYC.
I'd love to.
Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? Man, he's like super huge in let me see if I can pop it up real quick.
Yeah, and I'm going to get Steven's IG too, because he deserves a shout
He's
out.
got about 1.3 million followers on Instagram. He's really quite well known. He gives away gold on the street. Like it's this guy right here, and yeah, dude, he's a really cool kid. Very straight, honest with it, but he does some amazing art pieces with gold that I could just see him interacting with your work in a way that the two of you together could do some awesome pieces together.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So send me that link. And since we're doing link sharing right now, I got Steven, it's Steven Tyler.
Oh, let me look him up. Yep.
On IG.
Let me look on IG. No problem. Steven Tyler, like as in the singer.
Yep. And then right after that, we have a huge OG that does a lot of my work, but he just does it, and we don't sell anything he makes. And that's a Hashnu. And
Okay, let me show this first one first.
Yeah.
I want to show the Steven Tyler guy so we can show his work as well. We can share everybody. Be nice about life. And this is Steven's page here. And oh, wow.
Yeah. So just imagine what my work's like, getting put through those conditions.
Oh my God, look at what this guy's doing with these gemstones. I can only imagine what he's doing with your work.
Yeah, so 2024 is going to be a big year with a lot of these projects. I'm also working on some beautiful dice, some 20-sided dice, and that's going to be coming out in the next year as well. And then, yeah, isn't that crazy?
And what was the other guy's name you wanted me to look up?
Hashnu Stones, HASHNU Stones, STONES.
Yo, so dope.
And that guy is a wizard. That guy does live up to, this guy has invented more things and walked away from them than, he was in on the original build of the internet.
Wow.
What the hell are you doing, man? Hey, hold on a second. I got to give a shout out to this guy right here. This is my right-hand man, Carlos.
Hold
Get over
on.
here.
Let me stop this. Let me come straight to you. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm coming. Here we go. Let me remove.
I know these things are usually an hour, so I'm throwing a lot at you right at the very end. This guy's Carlos. He's badass, man. Everything that I've ever been able to teach, this guy's been able to pick it up and master it. And I wouldn't even have my studio if I didn't have Carlos in my team.
Dope. I have a friend of mine says, he's like, oh, there's a lot of comments here. He says, beautiful. The same guy says, oh my God. And then the next guy says, I'm in San Diego. I may need that one for my many projects. So cool. I'm happy that a lot of people are getting to see your stuff. For those people who are watching, who actually want to get a piece of Jack stuff, check out his website. It's jackstorms.com, and there's a section there in which it's and I'm going to show it now. It's called the wearables section, which is where he's literally taking these pieces that we're talking about and he's made them smaller so that people can wear them as pendants, as earrings, as all these different types of things. And he started doing this, what, about 2, 3, 4 years ago?
You know what? It really started. It really started when my divorce started really taking effect. So I was married for 6 years, and then spent another 2 years waiting for the divorce. So this was a way for me to really kind of start working on something that was different, and I needed the outlet. And so I just kind of threw myself into it. And so I mean, it was like, it was a time for me to really kind of, do something that was different. And there were a lot of things that made this attractive, because I felt that the career that was the ex-wife was on my team. Like she was like really my manager. Right. And her management style was, she takes the lead, she takes the credit, she takes this, they takes that, and I stay in my little hole. Right. So she.
Have you ever seen the movie Big Eyes? Did you see the movie Big Eyes?
I'll watch it though.
Jack. Okay. Do you know the very famous artist that was it was an artist that made a little oh man, I'm just gonna look it up real quick. I think it's called Big Eyes movie, and it's about this artist, very famous artist, and Margaret Keane was the painter, and I believe the story is that she painted everything, but the husband acted as though he was the one who was the painter, and he took all the fame and all of the stuff. And phenomenal. And this woman is known for these very famous drawings, these very famous paintings. I'll share real quick.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie, but I know all about the bio because I actually studied this in college. And it's not this one; it's another one. This has been done a couple times before in the modern movements. And maybe some previously before that just never got advertised. But it
was this girl. I mean, this is one of the paintings that was very famous from her time. This is the style, and the story is, once again, that she was doing all the work, but the husband was taking all of the credit. And she was getting none of it I think until the man passed away, I think is when I think the story is, or something to that effect, that she actually gets recognized.
How is this art? I must be channeling the talent of my husband doing that never bothered me when I was married to her, because that's my wife. I want to be supportive, and if this is
your partner,
but that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. Like, you can't have your ex-wife as your rep. You know what I mean? Because there's some wife privileges that are built in there that she no longer has claim to, right? And no one likes things that are being taken away. So it just wasn't going to work. And this was my way of taking something and being able to share it with people that was not channeled through the gallery. So now I'm actually interacting with people that are supporting my work and finding value in my work, and being touched by the beauty and the things that I create. You got him? I got a guard pug here.
Level, going back to what RJ said earlier, when he was talking, and he said, open up your own gallery. You have your own gallery. You have a website. People can
Yeah,
buy
I've
your
got a
stuff on your
website. And
website.
I do have plans in the future to actually have a brick and mortar, but it would be a brick and mortar that actually has my studio there too. So that's got to be
And
industrial
what
because I don't
about
want to have
doing like,
something that's just separate. I want to really like attach them. So if you like the first room with all the pretty shiny things, then put on some eye protection, put on a smock, put on all your protective clothing gear, and let's take a
come
tour,
see
and I'll
us
show you
do it.
how the dirty process is made.
Wow,
So
that would, you know
that's
what? It just got in my head right now. I just thought of like a cool idea like that, but instead like just a glass window, almost like a bay at a car shop, and like people can watch it through the car shop while they're in the place where the gallery where they can buy the pieces. They can look right on the other side, and there's people grinding, and there's people cutting, and there's people doing all this work. That's
they do that shit at Disney, like when they have like cutters that are cutting the goblets and stuff like that. They have people that do that kind of work, and they're all there. I mean, it's for me, it's not like it's not like a concept that I want to implement that I think I came up with. I've seen it other places, and I think it's a good
No, I
model for
know.
me
I'm just saying that was the vision in my head. When you said that, I was like, oh, that would be really cool. Like like to get to see the process,
pull that off. It's a little tricky
I guess he's
because
gone.
a lot of places that
I
are
don't know what
commercial
happened.
are not industrial. So you can't really put, you can't have like an industrial use place that is also commercial. So it's going to take a little bit of like searching and time and really like a partnership with, either the person that owns the building or, being able to take that step into owning the building myself. And that could all be happening in the future. I think 2024 is going to be a really big year for me just because of the moves that I've made where I've stepped back from the galleries. I have more interaction with people. I had an office manager who built this big, huge Byzantine business structure that I'm just now getting my hands wrapped around and getting it simplified because there's no reason to have, all the structures that I have for, it's just, there's no reason for it. Like it almost seems like it was built too big for me to handle on purpose, right? Because like I'm like, hey, look, I don't want to sub out my interactions with the clientele. I don't want to sub out my interactions with what's going on with the business itself. I've just got to be more involved in that. And the divorce really kind of showed me what I didn't know was going on, and that's with client relations, with the business, with everything. And so ever since the divorce was final 3 years ago, I've been really kind of addressing all of those things. And because I'm in the studio busting my ass all the time and working, I haven't been able to do it in like it would take a normal person dedicated like 2 months to do this, but it's taken me 3 years just because I don't have, I don't have,
Yeah. You don't have the whole team that you need. I get it.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Have you heard of Bernice Steinbaum?
Yeah. I'm not sure how though.
Maybe through me. Bernice is a very well-known artist promoter. There's a great documentary.
If she's high end, I'm just going to tell you where it goes. If she's high end, if she's successful, she's got a formula that works for her, and she deals with people that have very little artistic investment into what they do. And that way she can take half or 60% or 70%. That's how, if I'm wrong, I'll dig into it, but
you're wrong. Some of her artists there's a really good documentary. I'm going to pop it up on the screen real quick so that other people can watch it. You can watch it as well. It's on YouTube, and it's called It's called No BS. Like you should know her. You should know who No BS is the name of the movie.
Yeah.
And this documentary, she works with some of the greatest artists, just some people that are just doing some really phenomenally weird, crazy. Like this is one of her artists. I love him. He uses this beetles. These are. Let me wait for it to pop up again. those that nose that you just saw, this animal that you're looking at.
I saw the elephant. Yeah, it's badass.
Okay, each one of those scales is the back of a beetle that are iridescent. And he sits there and has to take each one of those, and one by one he puts them in there, and he has to get the right size, the right. I mean, the guy takes so much time to do his work, and then his partner is a guy that does these awesome these right here. He does a bird cage, and inside the bird cage he puts a video image of a bird. It's very trippy to see in person, and it even has like the sound of a bird and everything. And it's a very trippy. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. So she deals with very weird, cool, avant-garde, very edgy art that I think you're very much like. At least she would want to look at what you have to say. Yay, nay, or hey, I have the right person for you, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. Look, I'm just gonna tell you, I seem to rub those people the wrong way, because you picked out a couple good things that's on her page, but there's some stuff here that's on her page that kind of fits into what I call crap art. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like stuff that didn't take people a lot of time, and it didn't take them a lot of thought. It's just kind of like almost like it like I don't see a lot. Like, to me,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. She picks up contemporary artists by all means. You know,
I think most contemporary artists is crap. Like, I think like,
I agree. I agree. I don't think that there's many artists that are that great.
Because because here's where, let's not talk about Bernice, okay? Because I don't know her, sure. And I don't know that much about what she represents, so I don't want to oversee. But just people like that are in the LA, New York art movement, their game is to hype things, right?
Right.
And 100%. And that's it. So it doesn't matter if your piece has any artistic merit at all. If they can craft a story around it, right, then they can push it. And my story is, this is what the fuck I do. That's my story. No one else can do it. That's it. That's the story. I'm not I'm not an oppressed person, or I'm not I'm none of those things. I'm none of those things that usually get told.
For them to put some kind of story to it, a Banksy or a Basquiat or whatever, and then
I've seen a lot of good work come out of them in particular. I don't want to single someone out, individually, but if you look at the contemporary art movement and what sells for a large amount of money, it is absolutely 100% bullshit. You know how you'll know that it's not bullshit? When something like this.
Well, I think that's my friend Jody said, please show me his art. Jody, we've been showing his art for hours, but I'll show it to you as well, sir. Jody's a really good friend of mine, a phenomenal artist. He is a psychedelic artist, but he's also known as the metal art master, a name that I gave him. And we created, it's great. And we created a bunch of stuff. These, I will right now. But I'm showing him your stuff real quick. But Jody, this is his art. He uses a, you can tell him, what kind, how you make the art.
Oh, you want me to tell him?
Yeah. What was it again? It was acrylic.
So basically what I do is I take these optic materials that are scientific grade in their quality, and I cut them down to smaller sizes, start grinding them down into particular shapes that are going to overall work as one piece together. And once I'm done grinding them down, I get them smooth, and then I get them flat, then I get them smooth, and then I get them polished. Once they're polished, they can be put together like this. Like those are all individual pieces that I've worked on. And then
hold on, let me go back to you. Let me go back to you because I was sharing your baseball bat, but I want to go back to you so we can have you on screen by yourself and we can see it. Give me a second. Let me.
So this is going into a chandelier that I'm doing. Remember we were talking earlier about like chandelier design and all that good stuff? Did I lose you? No? Okay. I can't hear you if you're talking.
Sorry about that. So basically what you're doing here is you're taking those sheets that you showed and you're putting them together after you've cut them down in some way.
Yeah, with a tile saw. It's not like laser. There's no heat involved whatsoever. It's all done cold. Right. Like half of my equipment you'd find in a granite countertop fabricator's garage. You know, right. So I got tile saws. I got angle grinders. I've got I get a lot of my stuff from, if I can give a shout out to his Glassworks, that's where I get a lot of my, not machinery, I kind of developed that myself, but a lot of my supplies I get from his Glassworks. So,
right. So here, let me pull up.
It's all rudimentary stuff. It's stuff that's mostly been around, except for the materials that you use and the way you bond them. The techniques of getting things flat have been around since the pyramids, right? So this is like a lot of old timey stuff of just getting things flat. And that includes my equipment. So I've got to have my flat equipment. So I'm like once a week I go and measure and mic everything, and all my equipment is timed for how much use and abuse I've put on it in a week. So I know how much time to dedicate to it on a Friday to get it back to being flat so I can show up on Monday. And, it takes so long to get out a piece of my work that it's worth the time investment to make sure everything is running properly. And, because why sit there and struggle with a piece that's not flat when you need it to be flat? So if your friend is still listening, none of that stuff. That's cool.
No,
that's
I'm
awesome.
just show you what
That would make my work explode.
Right. So what he does, he takes sheets of metal, and let's see. I'll go to these the metal portrait section. And what he does is he takes these pieces of sheets, and then he gets a CNC machine and cuts them out. And then he goes in and he'll do one by one, like he'll literally shave it down. Once he shaves it down, then he goes in there and paints one piece by piece. Like I don't know why we're having a weird. Is that you or me?
I got a call. I sent him a text to call me back in a little bit.
No problem. So I want to see if I can find more of his art. I want to. I don't know if it's in his limited edition section. Okay, here we go. So this is like the piece that he's doing. And then he'll sit there and once he cuts it out, he shaves it down, and then he sits there and paints it by hand.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, the work is absolutely beautiful, man.
It looks like he maybe does it if it's aluminum. He could make some badass anodized stuff as well and add that to his repertoire. I'm sure he knows all about it.
I think he mentioned what he said is that layer I can't kneeling is what he said. I think he's meant a kneeling. But so these are his art as of like lately. But
that's awesome. What's his IG? I'll follow him right now.
Yeah, I think it's Metal Art Master. I'm sure you can find it that way as well. But the way I found him was through this stuff, which is all of his surreal art. And it's very intense, very awesome, intense work. At one point, and I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of these pieces in here are lifted up. So what he was doing was he was using like some kind of art caulk or something like that, and then he would literally design and then make it three-dimensional. And so yeah, man, it very, very intense, bro. He's a very cool guy.
Yeah,
I've known him for like 20 some odd years of my
that's the
life.
kind of stuff I like. And what drives me crazy is that you've got, and you know, I'm not talking about Bernice, you know, no one in particular, but you've got the high-end LA art movement, and you've got the high-end New York art movement, and they're pushing all this crap. And here's a talented guy like this that's pretty much sitting on the sidelines, left to his own devices. And that's where, in my estimation, the majority of the badass art is happening. Right? Like, it's not
100%.
just me. This isn't just like a Jack Storm story. It's like, you know, there is so much art happening everywhere with blue collar guys like me, you know, blue collar guys like him that are just putting it out there, getting their hands dirty, you know, putting a lot of mental energy into their artistic expression. But because they don't have a stupid storyline, or because they've got more integrity than will allow them to have their art injected into a scam, even if it's a scam that makes you millions of dollars, then you're left on the sidelines. It just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I mean, we went as far as I went with him. We started making videos, like, you know, anything that we could do to try and promote the idea, and in a way that would be funny, and yet it also promotes the art, and, you know, all of that. And listen, the first video we put out got like 2,000 views in the first day.
That's awesome.
Which is, listen, it's not bad. It's not bad for no money behind it, and you're just doing it yourself, and you're creating the art yourself. And and then
do you know how many talented people that I follow on the regular that have like 50, 60 views? Some of them have like dozens of views, and that's it. And they're putting out legit
legit badass art. Yeah. And so then he got hooked on it, and so then he started making videos on how he does it, which is what I was telling you, right? Remember when we talked, and I was like, yo, I want you to show the behind the scenes of what you do. So he got so hooked on making videos, bro. He just starts making a bunch of videos.
I want to follow and see what he's done, because you know, if I see somebody doing something that applies to me and what I want to do, and they're doing it well, I'm unapologetic about copying it, and I'm unapologetic about, you know, telling everybody where I got the idea from. You know what I mean? I just figure that's fair.
For sure.
But yeah,
but I mean,
I definitely want to check that out
already. You do some great collabs already, man. I would love to see you and Jody collab on something, because that would look like some crazy, you know, like a metal, like a maybe something like maybe like he makes a base or something to hold your piece, but then like he does his art at the bottom and your art, I don't know, something like that.
Bases, like immediately when I was thinking, I've got bases that I'd like to talk to him about. I want to get into wall sconces and actual lighting products, you know, for homes. And,
oh man, I wish I had the last piece he did. He had a badass piece that he, you know, obviously does the cutout, but then behind it, he set up LED lights, and then it was for a wall. And then like, bro, let me tell, and you could choose like any color you wanted behind it, and man, it just looks so beautiful, dude. So yeah, for sure. I'm sure he'll connect with you.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
already. Yeah,
and this is a good segue for me to talk about one of my projects that I'm doing right now, in the vein of trying to like get more exposure for people, and to kind of like step into that space myself. So recently I was reached out to by a new video platform called Storyfire, and Storyfire is like a creator centric video sharing application, or not video share, you know, share it with everybody by watching it, right? But But we're talking right now about all kinds of plans, how we can kind of incorporate some of the things that I want to do. And what I appreciate about that is you can talk to somebody that's actually on the team. So if I've got a problem with YouTube, I've got a problem with IG, I've got a problem with Facebook, which is common, and it's got nothing to do with content. It's got like, how do I use their stuff? You know what I mean? And like they're putting me through like all kinds of, like the scammers have an easy time dealing with them because they don't give a fuck. And then, but someone who actually has a real business, they make them run through the hoops. So it helps that you can actually talk to these people and you can understand you're real, they're real. And look up Jack Storms on Storyfire.
Sure.
And then Adam Dahlberg. Adam is the COO, and I've been friends with him for a couple years now. And
what's his name? Adam what?
Adam Dahlberg.
Dahlberg?
Yeah, DAHLBERG.
Oh, like doll, as in DAHL. Yeah, got it.
But you know who this dude is? This is Sky Does Minecraft, who back when he was like a kid and really like involved in it and cultivating this content, he was in the top 100. He was in the top 100 of people followed on YouTube. Back when he was doing it.
I don't think that's him.
That's not him.
I'm trying to find him.
What he did that was awesome was he kind of like aged out of Sky Does Minecraft as far as like something that there is that he really wanted to like really get behind and push. So he, without any segue, without any prompts like, hey, I'm formerly Sky Does Minecraft and now I'm doing this. He just went out and formed a new online identity called Net Nobody, and that received like in its heyday like 4 million views. So he's proven that he's got the talent and the know-how to build a following, and doesn't have to
right here that we're looking at now.
No, that's not him.
Oh, I thought this was him. Sorry.
No, I thought you had the guy with the hat. That looked like him. No.
Okay, let me go back. No, not at all, man. I was trying to this one right here, I believe you said.
Go up one more. There you go. Yeah.
That's him.
Yep. There he is.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, I mean, this is not a place for him. I mean, that's just his picture and might have a couple, but he doesn't really spend a lot of time on any of those channels. He's focused 100% on Storyfire, and he's my guy that's helping me develop content there. And I'm trying to tell him that, I'm trying to let him know, or to, I'm trying to work with him because I want to be someone that can help curate some of the people out there that don't get enough looks that deserve to get looks, right? So I want to build something where someone with talent can have an outreach, right? So that includes like, building a merchandise store for them. So if you like, for example, one of the things that I did once I stepped away from galleries is I set up a merchandise store. And that's where people that don't have necessarily the ability to get into an entry-level piece can still feel part of my studio. So, I've got shop hats, shop shirts, shop hoodies, and this is what I wear in the studio. I switched into something clean because, if I mishandle this and I have to catch it against my chest, I don't want it to have a bunch of grit on there. And that's what I was wearing before. So I've got specific clothing that I wear when I'm dealing with pieces that have taken me months to put together.
Sure.
Just because I've got horror stories of wearing grit on my shirt and catching a polished piece and just scratching the shit out of it just by, being contaminated in what I was wearing. So this is just the first stage. But if we stop on this one item right here to your right, the colors. Yep, keep going to your right. There you go, that guy right there. So that's what I'm offering now, and that's a partnership that I have going on. That's a water bottle, but I was going to the print. If you, so what happens is I'm working with a high-end photographer named Eric Dos Santos, who built a career doing model and product photography in LA, like top of his game, top of the line. And I kind of coaxed him into, shooting my work and coming up with these images. So what I want to do is I want to take something and something that's very valuable. Like this is a $50,000 piece right here, right? So you take a $50,000 piece and you capture some of the baddest ass, beautiful. That's not abstract. I got to correct the description on it. That's not abstract. It is the tight representation of the golden ratio, actually. I mean, that's how I put all this stuff together. I use golden ratio to put, to figure out how thick the slices are going to be, how many slices are going to be. And I couple that with the angle of the refractive index, and I work that into the golden ratio formula to get all this stuff. And then what we can do is we can extract that beautiful signature imagery and then share that on on things that are more entry level. So it's an invitation for people to be a part of my team and to wear the stuff that I wear when I'm in the studio, but also in the future, this is like some real behind the scenes stuff. My girlfriend is a standalone, awesome designer, right? She designs her own shit. She's badass. And I'm trying to work with her because she is very busy, very particular, and she's like a perfectionist. And I'm just like, go, 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 go. I want to see this stuff come to life right now, right? And so what we're working on is taking those images and using them as a pattern that go on like dress shirts, right? And go on, an all over print design, because that desire there is to create something that takes my pattern and shows it as a standalone. So it's not going to be like, it's not going to be something that I craft just for my audience. Like, nobody that doesn't follow Jack Storms is going to buy a shop shirt, and a shop hat, and a shop hoodie, and both support my studio and wear my pride colors, right? But this stuff is going to be like the finest materials that we can get a hold of, the best fabric, the best production methods, the best stitching with the pattern, because I want to bring these designs to a wider audience. So hopefully if I'm right and the aesthetic is good and the pattern is beautiful and the product is right, I can open myself up to people that have never heard of me, maybe don't even like art, but they like a badass shirt.
Right.
So I want to be able to, have something for people that want a badass shirt that you just can't get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get it at Macy's. You're not going to get it at Nordstrom Rack. You're not going to get it at those places. There's only one place to get it. It's me. So that's one of the things that Storyfire is kind of helping me develop, because the story and the process of putting that all together is going to be captured and recorded and then put on Storyfire. Right. So Storyfire is like very
they're almost working for you. They're working for you to be the marketing machine behind you, so that they can promote Storyfire, but they can also promote yourself, and they can also promote your logo. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if it only worked out for me, I wouldn't know what their motivation would be to work with me. Like why is this deal so good and you guys aren't getting anything out of it? I want to do that. I want to, create these partnerships that have value to the people that I'm partnered with, because if you do that, and if you're working in a relationship and a partner with with Hash Stones, or with Steven Tyler, or with Bo of Opus Gems, you want to have something that they see value in, and that ups their participation, levels. And that's somebody that you don't have to monitor. That's somebody that you don't have to babysit. You work on a project, you assign tasks, and then everybody's digging in, and you come together and you have something awesome, right? So, I'm not saying I'm the best boss in the world. I'm not, right? But I like to think I'm a pretty badass collaborator.
I agree.
Shit, we've been talking for 90 minutes, man. Do you got a time limit on this thing?
No, man. I sometimes go for 4 hours.
That's cool. I can't do that now. I've got another 15, 20 minutes. If anybody else out there has any questions for me.
No, I knew you were there. I knew you were, at that spot where we were about to come to the end. We've gotten an amazing episode together.
You guys want to get a studio tour? I can take this thing and just give it a quick studio tour.
Yo, let's do that. That would be great, Jack. Let's go. I'll let you be on camera and I'll pull off. So you just talk and tell everybody what's going on and I'll just be here.
Yeah. Okay. So this is my office. And behind me right there is a, let me see if I can get out of the way. Yeah, behind me right there, that's a print my son did on one of my machines. We put down a bunch of paper and then the machines spin around and we just like started like throwing stuff on there, super random. And, you know, he did it and I'm proud of him. He might be an artist in the future too. I love that kid. Love being a dad. What we have here, let's go to the packing area first. So these are pieces that are going to be going out in the background here. I wonder if I can switch the camera. Okay, that's no camera. I hope you guys are enjoying this look at my face while I try to figure out this stuff. This is what a confused person looks like. Okay, so it does not look like I can switch. Is there a button where I can switch the camera around here? More?
Yeah, there sure is. Yeah, if you go into the settings, at the bottom, it'll say settings, and then it'll say camera, and then you should be able to flip the it should be able to have like camera, and it'll tell you what one's there, and then it'll say front or back, and then you should be able to flip it.
Boom. There we go. Okay, here we go. Now we're in business. So these are a few pieces that I'm going to be getting out here pretty quick. This is going to be going out. And what I do is I've got an Instapack machine right here with AB chemical, and it creates foam that fits it perfectly. So in 20 years, I've never had a piece that has failed, that's been damaged during shipment. Let's see. This is my lamination room. Which I have not cleaned up from the night before. So this is where I lay out all my work, and then I prep it, and then I stack it right here with an inspection lamp right there, and I get a lot of use out of this guy right here, the magnifying glass. So that's how I kind of go and make sure that all my seams are good. These are all of the pieces of different dichroic that I put in, and then these are some of the projects that are on deck that I'm working on. So it doesn't look like a whole bunch. So that's going to be a nice little piece when I'm done. And more of the same, more stuff, more junk, more projects that I'm working on. And here we come out to the studio. So this is where I do all my casting. So what I do is I put down a bunch of pieces in a ring like that right here. And this is plaster, and I put down the pieces, then I pour in wax, and then I pour in plaster, wait for it to cure, flip it over, peel back the wax, and now I've got pieces that are all exposed on a singular plane. So they're all flat. Washout station, bust out station, bust ass, hard ass worker right there. Awesome guy. These are where the rings go, and these are some of the tables that I was talking about that I mic to get completely flat all the time. Here's another one with a different grit. Here's one that is under repair. I had to peel it apart. This one is under repair. I'm working on that one too. Tile saw, another tile saw, which I got to repair. And then we go over here where I've got a Blanchard type machine. And it looks like we've got a piece that's actually done. I'm going to kill the magnet. And then I can peel back these pieces right here. These magnets that hold it down. And then I've got a piece that has been ground down. See where that line is right there? See that little line? Let's see how close we can get it. Yeah, see that little line right there? That's what I wanted to, that's where I designed it to stop. I always give it a little bit more because then I bring it to this machine, and this machine helps me grind it down, same thing, grind it down exactly to where I want it. So this one, the smaller machine, actually is the one that does the 90% grind, and then this one right here does the last 10%, so I can keep things absolutely with a level of precision. This is me just cleaning out my car yesterday, and I haven't cleaned that up. But this is right next to more chandelier parts that I have that are coming out. That have all been through this process right here. So I've done it all through this process. This is a piece that I have not busted out of the cast yet. We're just inspecting it to make sure it's all right. But look, what I'm talking about is I was able to do all these pieces at the same time, right? So there's no daylight in between those. And they're all from that point to that point to that point to that point. They are all 100% perfectly flat and polished, which is key to when you actually have to put all these things together. Because if you have different things at different angles, you're not going to get anything that's going to be straight. So let's say you build a crooked leaning tower of Pisa. Now you've got to go back and get it straight again. So now you've got hours and hours and hours of work, and you haven't not really kind of met your metric. This is a piece right here that I'm working on for a client that came back. They got a small chip in there, and I'm going to get it out for them. So that's going to be fun. A little work I'm doing for Disney right there. And
don't forget that again. Say that again. The Disney piece.
Yeah. So I do some work for a Disney client, and they're a business that's licensed by Disney. So I'm like a subcontractor.
Right.
And I'm not really happy with that, because I was promised that I would actually have my own contract, and they've never stepped into that for me. So I'm just like, whatever, like I'll do stuff when you call me, I guess. And that's it. These are pieces of jewelry that are going out today. See if I can pick this up so we can actually see. There we go.
Such absolute beautiful work, man.
Yep.
So I'm so thankful that you're showing us the tour. This is so cool.
And it starts out like this. I mean, see how this is shaped, but it's not polished, right? So what Carlos is doing is Carlos is polishing right now. And as soon as I get off the horn with you guys, or get, as soon as the podcast ends, I'm going to be jumping on and getting that stuff going right now. Carlos, what are we working on? Working on pendant. Can we see what it is? Right. So if you look real close, you can see that the polish is first starting to come out, but he's going to stay here until this one's done. Probably takes him an hour at this stage per piece, sometimes an hour and a half to get that done. And these are big polishers. These are big boys right here, right? So 19 inches in diameter. If I fill that up with a glass, I can get that polishing. So I can polish here, 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 and then 4 stations right there. And by the end of this week, when I start cutting those larger logs that we saw back there, that were for the chandelier, all of these will be full. All of these will be full. And this will be going, like right now, all of my pieces are being put back together. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these logs right here, boom, 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 all these logs right here, and all these logs right here. And I'm going to turn those into smaller segments, and then I'm going to polish all of those segments in this process. And that's all going to happen at once. So we're building up to it to where we can just go, because that's a day we won't be doing any jewelry. That's a day, or that not a day. That's the start of me taking like 2-3 weeks just to work on that. Just enough time to get into the Christmas season where 95% will be switched back to doing jewelry, pendants, and I've got these beautiful small Christmas ornaments that are coming out that I'm only doing 10 of. So all of those, are in these various stages right now, getting ready so I can push them, so I can put them on the shelf for 3 weeks, work on the chandelier for 3 weeks, and then be able to pick right back up on the jewelry and have things that I could fulfill in time for Christmas. So it's a lot of planning.
Wow, Jack. Thank you so much for that, dude. That felt like I was in Willy Wonka's little shop, and you got to see all the little all the little things going on. It's very cool, man.
It kind of is, but the glass does taste like shit. It does taste like shit. I had to eat one violently one day, and I don't know. We'll just wrap it up here. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I've only got one working eye. Right. So this is the eye that does not work. I'm sorry. This is my working eye. So I was working on a large sculpture, and it kicked. Watch how fast this wheel goes. Oh, hold on. I got the camera back. Just a. See how fast that wheel goes? That's going really, really fast. And so what happened was I caught a piece on the corner, and the corner, actually, shit, let me show you. Like that machine that's right, that I just showed you was one station over a while ago. And the piece that I was working on was here, and I had this wheel. This wheel was spinning like uber fast. And the piece caught and smashed right there into that wall. And that was like a quarter second. Then it hit back here and then came whoop, boom, smashed me in my face. So I lost my front teeth. These guys are factory made chiclets. Broke my nose. And had two huge black eyes. And the guy that was working right next to me at the time was like, "Man, I can't believe how fast your reflexes are. You caught that piece." And I was like, well, what I was trying to do is like, what happens when you get hit in the face? You go to cover your face. When I went to cover my face, there was a piece there, right? So it hit me in the face before I had time to react to it, right?
Wow.
So before it had time to actually fall. So it hit me in the face. And by the time I reacted, I caught the piece right here. And, I saw my teeth, on the piece. And I was just lucky that the piece, these pieces are durable. The piece was undamaged, 100% undamaged. Because if that had a big, huge, nasty gash in it, that could have just taken off my head.
Yeah, 100%.
It just could have taken off my head. Just huge scar right here. I would have looked like one of those. If I was lucky, I would have looked like one of those Japanese anime guys that have those huge scars across their face. That would have been me if I was lucky. So what happened was I go to get my nose fixed, and during surgery, I threw a clot, and that clot ended up behind my right eye. And then I woke up from the operating table, and well, we fixed your nose. Hey, go home, have a great day. And then I called them up about 8 hours later, and I said, "When does my sight come back?" And they're like, "What? Get to the hospital right now." And so after that, it was just an ordeal.
No way.
And then I was down for a year. For a whole year, I was down because without depth perception, you don't know where the piece is, and you open yourself up to the same accident that just smashed me right in my grill. So, it was a big deal. And it took me a year to really refortify all the skills that I had built at that point. And I just had to go back to the basics. And I just stayed with the basics after that. So I don't do anything, how you see surfers do surfers do stuff, or football players or baseball players do stuff it's not taught in the fundamentals at all. Like, you're not supposed to do that, but because they're so good, they can just bare hand catch a ball, or they can, do a fancy throw or whatever. I was at that level within my set. And now I don't do any of that shit. I'm just super careful. If it's not something that I would be comfortable watching a person working here for 1 week do, I don't do it.
You won't do it.
Wow. So that's how I got back, and it took me a year. And that's also what kind of helped kick everything off, because it cost me an eye. But then I kind of really saw who my real people were, because as soon as my income was in jeopardy, that's when the wife became the ex-wife. Right. And that's when I had to kind of do something different. And I brought on the jewelry, because the jewelry was a lot easier for me to handle. If I lost a piece working on a piece of jewelry, it's not going to cleave my head off like a fucking French era guillotine, So that kind of helped kind of transform. I'm kind of moving around here. It kind of helped transform my career into what it is now, where it's something. It's I would say it's smaller because I'm not doing the gallery stuff, but it's so much more fulfilling, and I'm creating so much more of the art that I know is inside me that I've been wanting to do forever. No more looking at drawings that are 15 years old. I can do them now. Thanks to guys like Opus Gems, and I can do collaborations. I used to want to do collaborations all the time, and I had built a structure where I had actually let people tell me no. Like, what the? No, I'm telling you yes. It's my name. It's my work. I'm doing the work. It's my IP. How about not no, but yes? And so now I'm working with people that if I want to do something that's ill-advised, that's a different conversation than someone feeling they've got the authority to tell you no in something you built, right? So, I'm happy with what I got now, and I'm happy with my avenues of sharing what I've got. And I'm all about wanting to build, or I'm all about building now a real a sense of community with the people that appreciate my work. And I think that's key for any artist out there, is about building a community of people that appreciate your work, making sure that they're taken care of. They know they're appreciated. No one likes to be dismissed. No one likes to feel like they're lesser than anybody, right? So I treat everybody pretty much like Carlos.
Man, you just said all the things. You just said all the reasons that I made this show.
Yeah.
All the reasons that I made this show is to promote other people. It's to put positivity in the world in a place where we're all kinds of poopy poops. And it's to celebrate the people that I've met in my life, or people that have met me that are like, yo, dude, I want to just tell my story. And Jack, again, I'm so thankful for your time and your energy today, man. Thank you so much for coming onto the show and being here with us.
Hey, man, thank you. Everybody who's watching or going to be watching, I appreciate the eyeballs. And it's jackstorms.com. That's the entry level for everything that I offer. And thank you very much for having me on. And what I appreciate about this podcast is that, we're able to have like conversations, like a real conversation. And I think that's key right there, because if you can show more of that if you can share more of that with people, you give people a real insight that they don't necessarily get in other podcasts where you sit down with scripted answers and,
it's exactly what I didn't want to do here. Yeah. I wanted to do exactly what we're doing, which is get to know the person. Like, even when I said to you a little while ago, when I was like, yo, I want to get back to when you were a kid, you had like a little smirk that happened. You were like, oh, wait, why do you want to know about my childhood? And I was like, because I want to know you.
Yeah,
and I want to know.
The smirk came from just me remembering me really fucking up my dad's studio because I knew I'd be talking about it. So when I was in my dad's studio, like 9 times out of 10, I had touched something that was supposed to be in one place, and I had put it in another place, and it sent my dad into a spiral. Right? So it's like what? Like I'd just be lying in bed, and he'd get to his garage lathe studio that he had, and I'd hear, God damn it! And all of a sudden, I'd just like wake up out of bed and be like, "Oh, I didn't put that back. I did not put that back."
You're so funny, Jack. It's so true, though. I used to do the same thing with my dad with his tools, man.
Yeah, but that was the exact story that was going through my head when you asked me about my childhood.
That's so funny. That's great.
My dad really gave me the model for how I want to be with my son. My dad was 100% my dad until I was 30. Then he could be my friend, right?
Wow.
And so what I'm doing with my son is I'm being his dad. I don't want to be his friend. I love him too much to be my friend. But when he gets to an age to where he doesn't necessarily need our relationship to be 90% dad, I'll always be his dad. I'll always love him like that. But man, I'm trying to raise somebody that at 30 years old, I'll have as a best friend. And,
right.
And I hope I'm my dad's best friend. And, because I know that's what he is to me.
That's awesome. Jack, again, thank you for being on the show, man. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get all Hallmark Cardi on you.
That's great, bro. What a good ending. I'm happy with your Hallmark endings. I'll take them.
Yeah. All right, brother. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you soon, man. Thank you, bro. Have a good day. Yep. Oh my God. I say it at the end of every episode. I said, oh my God, at the end of every episode, because every episode is this good. Every episode. And I love the fact that Jack took us on that little tour, got to see all the stuff and all the, my goodness, bro. Hey, just the fact that he was so honest and real and exactly what he said at the end, you know, that he enjoyed the podcast because we got to have a real conversation and it's not forced. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you had fun with me. Please, if you would not mind, go out into the world, do something nice for somebody else. And if you can't do something nice for yourself, it does start with you. Number 2, don't get caught up in all the crazy stuff that's going on in this world, because if you do, then you end up poopy, and that's not good for you or me. And number 3, if you would not mind, please like, share, subscribe, send this out to somebody who wants to see it. And with that, my friends, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I love you. I want to thank my sponsors. I have Isaac, that's episode 24. Kitty Spice, she threw down also. Want to thank her. Also, for those of you who are out there who want to do your own podcast, use StreamYard, use my code. It's in the description down below. You get a discount. I get a kickback. Everybody's happy. And with that, my friends, thank you very much. I love you all, and I will see you all on the other side.